All right, so the U.S. is officially in a recession right now. What does that mean, though, for you individually and for your money? We're having a conversation about that this afternoon with Cathy DeWitt Dunn, who is the president and CEO from DeWitt Dunn Financial Services. We go way back, Cathy. Thanks for being on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I've talked to you many times about different financial matters, but boy, everything is seen through a different prism these days just because of what the country is going through. And we all keep hearing about recession. Give me an idea from your expertise. What is the criteria that has to be met to signal that we're actually in a recession?
Right. Right now, if you really take a look at it, we've had significant decline here in the economy, and it's spread across, and it's lasted more than a few months. And, you know, officially, the U.S. has been in a recession really since February because we've been seeing this decline. Unemployment and consumer confidence also plays into that. And we've had 44 million people that have filed for unemployment here recently. So we actually have really seen, you know, the stock market has done well, but we've seen some pullback. So those numbers are really, you know, going back to February. So since the numbers are in, we're now here in a recession.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about what people can do individually to protect their money, to better protect their accounts right now in a recession. What are some things, what are some pieces of advice that you would give to people right now in these uncertain times?
You know, one of the biggest things is stop spending money. Take a look at your budget. Make sure that you are looking at your budget on a daily basis. Take a look at what you can do without, and don't get tied up in short-term debt. And when we take a look at all of our finances, we need to make sure that we have a plan for the future, what we're going to be able to do. We've seen a lot of layoffs here, Brian, here recently, but the biggest thing is making sure that you are spending less than you're bringing in. And it also might mean that we need to do without several things that are currently maybe on auto draft. So we really need to take a look at our finances because of being in this recession period right now, because the stock market is not an indicator of how the economy is really doing, and we need to really pull back and evaluate our personal finances.
That dovetails nicely into something I was going to ask you about, Cathy, and that is, you know, we look at the stock market, and day after day, especially in these last, 30, 45 days, we've just seen this thing soar. It's very different from what a lot of people are experiencing in their own lives right now. It's almost like a tale of two economies.
You know what? It really seems that way, and I think that sometimes when we do see such growth inside the stock market for a lot of unknown reasons, and we have a lot of uncertainty, and with this coronavirus and with uncertainty, sometimes that creates a lot of volatility. So I just think everybody needs to take a look at their financial plan, their financial future. You know, my clients have had a plan in place, so they are not fearful of maybe perhaps seeing a decline in the market when we get the June numbers that are due out here very shortly. So you've got to take a look at your long-term plan, and that starts today by evaluating where you want to be in the future so you can have a successful retirement.
Yeah, and you know, Cathy, maybe a lot of people have benefited with their 401ks since the market has been surging here lately, if they took that usual advice to leave it alone back in the days when it was really falling. So hopefully those 401ks have become a little bit healthier as time has gone. And I know that it's always hard when we ask you to look into a crystal ball here and to tell us what we should expect going forward, because so much of this is just unprecedented. Is there any real way, though, that you can get a sense of when this recession might end, what it's going to look like? A lot of people are hoping for that V recovery. We don't know if we'll see that.
You know, that's a great question. I have a tendency to think right now that this recession might be just short-term based upon the numbers, but I think people need to be prepared with everything that we're seeing in the economy, that it might impact them a little bit longer. But I definitely think that you know, the market has done really well here recently. When the earnings numbers come out here at the end of June, you know, we're going to probably see some dips in the market, but hopefully this will be just a short-term recession. And, I think that we all just need to make sure that we have a plan in place that we can count on being there so we don't lose any sleep at night with our investments and our 401ks.
Yeah, hopefully it is a short-term problem, especially for all those people who we know are watching us today because they're out of a job right now. Cathy DeWitt Dunn, President and CEO from DeWitt Dunn Financial Services. Thanks for being with us this afternoon and sharing the expertise.
Thank you, Brian, for having me.